What's happening, everybody? We've officially made it. Championship week in fantasy football. Week 17 for all the marbles. Well, the vast majority of leagues, anyway. I had a couple of folks who are some regulars talk about how their championship was this past weekend, um, which needs to immediately be addressed and fixed to this week. But that's obviously a future problem. For the vast majority of leagues, though, it is the final. It is week 17. It is the championship matchup. Hopefully, many of you are in that game, or at least, in the third place game, or playing for some type of prize, some type of reward, something in some way, shape, or form. I commission 3 different leagues. I give out a lot of payouts. Look, there's a lot of different ways that you can win back some of your buy-in or win some money. I beyond just coming in first or second or third place, I try to deviate and create some variance with different ways that you can win. But hopefully, obviously, the goal, of course, that we all set out on, starting in August, starting in July, is to play this week in the final. So hopefully, some folks are in the final. I can tell y'all definitively. I played in 6 leagues this year. I made the playoffs in 5 of them, and I'm in the championship game in 3 of them, and two third place games because I advanced every playoff team to at least the semifinals. So, quite happy with the year that I had. Thankful that it is not over yet. For in any scenario, because even in third place, there's payouts in the leagues that I play in. Hopefully, it's the same for your league. We can talk about that as well. Anything's on the table today. Not just for folks who are playing in the final in week 17. Maybe you're a commissioner. Maybe you're not a commissioner. Maybe you're in a league and you're like, okay, the league is wrapping up, but, what are some things that I can do? What are some changes that I can make to this league that can make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting? I'm happy to talk shop on anything today. Obviously, the focus being if you have start-sit questions for Week 17, I can take those today with 3 games on Christmas Day. It's officially not too early to have that conversation. Waiver wire pickups for this week. We can take a look at any of those. Do a high-level potential overview on potential pickups for this week, depending on who's available. Guys that make sense as far as, maybe they're off the radar, generally speaking, but what type of appeal, if any, do they have for championship week? And, of course, your questions as we start going as we go into the final. As far as waiver wire options for this week, the top name is probably, and of course it depends on your situation and what you maybe need. But as always, I say it all year long, the narrative certainly doesn't change ahead of championship week. We're always looking for running backs, right? So, everybody has running back depth until they don't. So what are some names that maybe make sense this week? We saw Josh Jacobs. Saw him on the injury report all last week. Currently not really practicing, and that's been the case for several weeks now with Jacobs. Goes into the game questionable, only handles a handful of touches, gives way in more ways than not to Emmanuel Wilson, which maybe we should have seen, or maybe I should have seen coming, a potentially reduced workload from Jacobs. That being said, you can't go into the week with any other plan other than to start an active Josh Jacobs. But Emmanuel Wilson getting significantly more work with a less than 100% Josh Jacobs, especially at this point in the season, does make sense. And he's back on the radar once again in a game where the Packers should be in a decent spot against a Baltimore Ravens squad that appears they're closer to limping to the finish line, it feels like, than they are to making the playoffs. So Emmanuel Wilson, assuming Jacobs is anything less than 100%, which he's probably going to be. I think he's banged up to the point where, a few days rest is not going to make a significant difference at this point. So Emmanuel Wilson certainly on the radar if you're looking for a pickup. And if he should already have been on rosters. I was calling him a must roster player, especially so for those who have Josh Jacobs. But in situations where if you don't have Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson is on waivers, he's absolutely worth a top grab. As far as other running backs, Quinshon Judkins will miss the remainder of the season. He suffered a gruesome injury. It's possible multiple injuries, I think, is the latest update for Quinshon Judkins. He is done for the 2025 season. I would love to know the health of Dylan Sampson, who has not played for a couple of weeks, because he would be the back that I would prefer to have if I'm looking for some running back depth on the wire. But if he's not healthy, then it will be the other rookie, Sanders. Raheem Sanders. Is he let me see. He's played in one game, and that was this past week. I'm just trying to see. Is he okay? Yes, he was an undrafted rookie from this year. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. I said he was a rookie. He is in fact a rookie, but he was an undrafted free agent. Sampson is a player that they actually drafted. So if Sampson were healthy, which we don't definitively know, he would be the other running back pickup that I would be interested in. But because we do not know the status of Dylan Sampson, he's risky. And even if he does play this week, he is likely to be less than 100% and potentially not seeing, any type of significant workload as he works his way back from injury. So Sanders is probably the preference just from an opportunity perspective, not necessarily, a vibes or even talent perspective. Michael Carter was probably scooped up in most leagues after last week. He disappointed, but if he's still out there, his chances should be okay in a good matchup against Cincinnati. Those are some of the running back options. Wide receiver options. I mean, the guy who is probably most widely available, I don't know how confident I am in him, but Parker Washington had, I think, the best game that any one individual wide receiver has had this year against the Denver Broncos. Cleared 100 yards, scored a touchdown. And now they get, let's call a spade. They get they're a broken Kansas City Chiefs team. The Chiefs are done. Like, they're cooked. They have given up. They got, obviously the injury to Gardner Minshew was tough, was unfortunate. But they're down now to their third string quarterback. And, the defense just let up a lot of points to the Tennessee Titans, who have struggled on offense all year long. They are limping to the finish line. They will play with some pride in this game, I would presume, just because it's a division game, and they want to try to hurt the Denver Broncos' chances of getting that number one seed. But beyond that, they are not playing for anything. So it's not a bad spot for Parker Washington if you are really hurting for some wide receiver depth. And then, of course, in the event that Luther Burden was dropped after this past week because he missed time, or he missed this past game with injury, no idea if he's able to make his way back. But if he is healthy this week, he would be viable against San Francisco, who they had a solid game last night overall as a team, but they still gave up 27 points, and they allowed 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to toss multiple scores on them. So Um, Burden would be an ideal wide receiver option if he is available. Quarterbacks, I'll just say Tyler Shuck. I mean, he looks good. Shuck has, I think, already surpassed any expectation that anybody realistically gave him or put on him going into the season. That their offense looks good with him. They are winning more games. I mean, the Saints were one of the worst teams in the NFL with Spencer Rattler at quarterback for the first 7 or 8 games. They've really turned it around. I think the Saints in the second half of the season are like a 500 ball club, or maybe they're like a game under 500. They're playing better. They are a much more competent team. They look like a much more competent team. Maybe they've had some easy opponents, but you can only play your schedule, and Shuck has been a big reason why they've looked a lot better. Good matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee's given up a ton of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, so Shuck could certainly be viable. Decent quarterback option. And then, of course, let's see what the status is of the Packers quarterbacks. Jordan Love suffered a concussion. Malik Willis looked decent in his stead before he ultimately got injured as well. But whoever plays for Green Bay, it's a pretty favorable matchup against Baltimore. So keep an eye on that. And then at tight end, I mean, Mike Gesicki gets the Cardinals this week. That's a great matchup. Just taking a look at some of these other names that have some good matchups. Keep an eye out. If you have George Kittle, you may want to go ahead and grab Jake Tonges. If Kittle has to miss the Week 17 matchup against the Bears, he picked up, I think it was a low or mild ankle sprain. It was confirmed. I don't think he suffered a high ankle sprain, which is a good news. That's a best case scenario. Kittle did not suffer the most significant of ankle sprains, but still, it could be enough for him to have to miss a week. So if you have Kittle, and if you're in the championship match, you very well could maybe consider looking at Jake Tonges, depending on the other options on your wire that are available to you. If Brenton Strange or Dalton Schultz or Colston Loveland are out there, I would maybe prefer to play one of those guys. But if they're all taken and you have Kittle, then you may as well grab the direct backup and grab Tonges. And at least give yourself that option. And I guess I'll throw out, I talked about Tyler Shuck. I guess I'll talk about Taysom Hill as well as far as tight ends go. I mean, once again, Taysom Hill is doing everything in some small capacity. He throws the ball, he runs the ball, he catches the ball. He is impossible to trust week to week. Tight ends in general are volatile and difficult to trust. He takes that to another level. He could score 15 fantasy points one week and goose egg the next. That has been a pretty MO situation for Taysom Hill most of his career. That being said, he had a massive performance this past week. He could be in line for more work given the state of the Saints' backfield, and you could play him at tight end, and he'll get carries, and he'll throw the ball a few times, if you're desperate. If you're desperate. Okay, those are some waiver wire options for you. Emmanuel Wilson. Probably, I wish it was Dylan Sampson, but it probably won't be Dylan Sampson. It'll probably be Sanders, the other rookie for Cleveland at running back. Wide receiver, Luther Burden, Parker Washington, quarterback, Tyler Shuck, tight end, if you're desperate, really looking for a streamer in deeper leagues, or maybe you've suffered an injury. Mike Gesicki, Taysom Hill. That's like the deeper leagues. I'm talking about guys who I know are available no matter what. If you have a better option on your wire and are looking at tight ends, obviously let me know. I can take any questions in that regard. Okay. I think we can go ahead and just jump right into questions because I see a couple of names in the questions, and they are some guys that I want to highlight for this week anyway. So you guys are kind of setting me up for some names that I wanted to touch on, guys who I like, situations that I like in general for this championship week. So we will get into it. But before I begin with the questions, let me just first do my spiel. And we'll get into it. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. I don't see any members at the moment, but members will get first priority to questions answered and comments responded to if I see them pull up and have something that's on their mind. It does not matter when a member sends a question; those questions will be answered in priority order. I would tell you where to find more details about becoming a member, but I doubt anybody at this point is joining up with their just 1 week left in the fantasy season. So I'll just go ahead and skip that part. If you are feeling generous enough this holiday season to send a super, that would also be a way to jump the line and fast track me just going ahead and getting to your question sooner than later. If you can send a super, if you are feeling generous enough, you'll also get a little bit more out of me, thought process and analysis with your question, just general dissection of the question overall if I feel like it warrants it or needs it, as opposed to a non-super, non-member question. I will get to all questions in general, but I do ask for some patience if I get member questions at any one point, as those will take priority. But regardless of all of that, if you're enjoying the stream, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Let's talk fantasy. And congrats to everybody who made the finals. 3 finals for me out of 5 matchups. Feeling quite good about that. The other 2, I had competitive games in the semifinals, but in both of those matchups, I went against Puka. And in both scenarios, I had good teams, but it was a little too much to overcome. So I will settle for 3rd place in those 2 games. But I'll take it. 3 championship opportunities in 3 other finals. Feeling quite good. Let's see what this week brings us. And I will take start-sit questions this tonight. I don't usually. This is usually like, Tuesdays are typically I try to reserve for waivers and, during the thick of the season, trade questions, general approach, et cetera, and I kind of deprioritize start-sit questions. Obviously, this is not that type of week. We've got 3 games coming up on Christmas, so start-sit questions at this time of the week are certainly much more viable, and with their with the number of people who are in the championship week, it's less so of that's just math as compared to people who are playing in the regular season. So there's not as much clutter on this particular day. So start-sit questions are perfectly kosher, especially because I'm not sure what my availability is through the remainder of the week. Obviously, not only championship week, but it's the holiday season. I'm sure many of you intend to spend time, hopefully, with family or friends, if that's what you desire to do, if that's how you intend to spend your time. I plan to do the same, or just that, I should say. So I will be as available as I can be this week, giving you help for championship week, this being the last definitive day I knew that I would be available to stream for you guys. So I guess with that, it's been an excellent season. I hope you guys have had fun. I hope you have enjoyed yourselves hanging out on this channel. Hopefully I've been able to help in some way, shape, or form, whether it's making the right call for your lineup or providing some insight, some thought process on trade question you had, general strategy, whatever have you. Hopefully it's been fun. Always a pleasure. And we'll see what the rest of this week brings. Okay. Let's get into it. Half PPR, we're picking one of these tight ends, between Tyler Warren, Taysom Hill, Colby Parkinson, and Tungus. Warren, to me, at this has become unplayable. The Colts offense is it's okay with Rivers. It obviously has scoring potential. We saw Alec Pierce get a couple of touchdowns last night. But Warren in particular, his usage has gone off the cliff recently. I know he was excellent to start the season, but this is a Jekyll and Hyde situation with the Colts offense. I barely have confidence in Jonathan Taylor right now. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think, has been better than a mid-range RB2 since the Germany game against Atlanta when he scored 3 touchdowns. That was week 10. That's the last time Jonathan Taylor was an RB1. Obviously, you're not taking Jonathan Taylor out of your lineups, but the Colts in general, and I know Alec Pierce got 2 touchdowns last night, the Colts offense in general, their pass catchers are very difficult to trust. Tyler Warren may be the most so. As I can't play him. I can't play him this week. I just can't. And Jacksonville's defense has gotten a lot better as the season has progressed. So on top of the offense going in the tank for Warren, it's not a great matchup. Taysom Hill, he's the Swiss Army knife, right? He could get you 15 points. He could get you 0. He could end up doing nothing. I guess his chances of remaining a contributor are solid given the state of the Saints' backfield. But he's tough to trust every single week. Parkinson looked like a great streaming option for Thursday night, and then he completely dudded. He was on the field. He was on the field plenty, but he only got 4 targets. He dropped 2 of them. It was an abysmal performance. That being said, Davante Adams is not expected to play Week 17, so he could still be viable, but obviously it's easy to understand why you wouldn't trust him after last week's performance. And then Tongas is viable if George Kittle misses against the Bears. Right now, of this group, for me, and I know this is probably a tough pill to swallow given what happened last week, but the floor play for me here is Parkinson, and it just comes down to he still played 80% of the snaps last week, and Davante Adams is not expected to play. He is not expected to be available for Week 17, which is a Monday night game. So Parkinson actually has additional time. The Rams in general have extra time, an extra day on top of the mini bye week going into Monday Night Football after playing Thursday night the previous week. So I kind of like Parkinson as the floor play. Taysom Hill is probably your all-or-nothing play if you think you need to be aggressive and swing for the fences, but Hill's floor is quite literally 0. So it depends on your risk tolerance and how confident you are in the rest of your lineup compared to your opponent. I would say Parkinson is the floor, and Hill is the swing for the fences upside but low floor play. Tongas is interesting if Kittle doesn't go, but we got to cross that bridge when we get to it. As far as pick 2 of this group, Swift, Jefferson, Rico, Monangai, Corum, Sampson. Sampson I can't advocate for right now because we don't know that he's healthy, and I'm officially out on Rico for championship week. It just hasn't been a good string of games, and they're playing a very tough Seattle defense. I know the Rams had success against Seattle on Thursday night. The Carolina Panthers, for all their success this year, are not as good of an offense as the Rams. I would go back to trusting the Seahawks defense with plenty of confidence. So I don't like Rico. Swift against the 49ers is solid. Jefferson is difficult to trust, but he would be a floor play. Corum is probably my most interesting, enticing name here. I think he's got the floor and the ceiling, especially given the matchup, and I think the Rams in general are an offense that I want to target. They're a great offense going up against a bad defense in Atlanta, and they're going to be looking for a get-right game after losing to Seattle to stay in the race for the 1 seed, however difficult that would be for them to do. And then Monangai, if you have Swift, I'm never going to be able to advocate for Monangai because Swift is the starter. So I'm going to always suggest the starter over the backup. So Monangai would be out for me. And I don't like the matchup so much that I want to play both Bears running backs. I think my answer here is Swift and Corum. Corum has carved out a significant role in the Rams' backfield, and it's a great matchup. And they're going to him. They're giving him plenty of work, and he's coming through. It's a great spot. Um, you know, it's possible my answer changes, but because it's a good matchup for Jefferson against the Lions secondary. I just don't think I trust Max Brosmer because he's probably going to start, not J.J. McCarthy. Swift and Corum, I think, are my answers here. Swift as the starter for the Bears, the clear-cut starter for the Bears, and Corum, not the clear-cut starter for the Rams, but a great offense, and he has carved out a significant role and has done well in that role. I think those are my two answers there. Lost Judkins. Yeah, I mean, Judkins can safely be dropped. He is done for the season. Corum, Algier, Sampson. Yeah, I'm going to go right back to the well and give you the same answer that I gave the previous question. I trust Blake Corum this week. I do. If you need him, if you lost somebody to injury, Quinshawn, Travion Henderson, a wide receiver if it's a flex spot, if Metcalf if he got suspended, Rashee Rice who is hurt, anybody else who has kind of fallen off recently in play. I think Corum is a perfectly good and acceptable and honestly suggested, at least in my opinion, pivot that you should fire up in Week 17 in championship week. He has done well in his role. The Rams are playing great offensive football, and it's a great matchup against Atlanta. Corum. I would definitely play Corum over Algier, over Sampson. I know Algier's in a he's at home, and he typically does well at home, but it's not a great matchup by the numbers. Hey, appreciate the super. Thank you. Thank you for the generosity. Hi-Fi Samurai, appreciate that. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully that helps. And best of luck. And I got a super from Chris. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you for the support. Again, I see everybody's questions, but members and super questions will take priority. That is a perk of both of those settings. But I will get to everybody's questions. Let's get into it. Pick 5 in half PPR, and 2 of them have to be wide receivers. Dang, you have a lot. You have a lot of high-end options, my friend. This is. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. You've got a lot of studs. There are going to be people that go off on your bench. I'm just letting you know right now. Like, there are going to be players that do very well that are not in your starting lineup. If 2 of these guys have to be wide receivers, I mean, for me, it's those first 2 names. I love Mike Evans. And you are free to go to him if you want to, but I think I'll take the younger, more in their prime guys. And CeeDee's in a spectacular matchup to boot. So CeeDee's in for me. I'll take the Dallas offense against Washington's defense. And then Nico, Houston gets... Who do the Texans have this week? That's right, the Chargers. That's a tough matchup, but it's Nico. It's Nico freaking Collins. Tampa's got Miami. That's a great matchup. I mean, Evans. I love Mike Evans. He's a stud. He's a baller, and that's a great matchup against Miami. I don't think I can sit CeeDee or Nico. That being said, I can barely sit any one of these running backs either. Bijan is I feel like you have to play Bijan. I mean, you have to play all of these guys. I guess I will deprioritize. I hate to do this. We're nitpicking here, but I'll deprioritize Achane at running back because they're, it's not a bad matchup, but they're starting a third-string quarterback. And I know Achane was fine last week, but you've got Saquon against Buffalo. The Bills have been getting crushed all year long by opposing running backs, and Saquon's on a current heater. So I think you have to go Saquon. Bijan was what, the first or second or third overall pick in your draft this year? So I think I'll just go off of that as he's got to be in. Henry gets the Packers. Gentry gets the Giants. Like that, those are like I want to play both of these guys. I guess I'll say if Lamar suits up for Baltimore, play Henry, and if Lamar sits, play Gentry. Because Gentry gets the Giants, and even though the Raiders suck, Gentry just went nuts against the best defense in the NFL. So I will take my chances going back to the well with Gentry in a beautiful matchup against the New York Giants. CeeDee, Nico, Saquon, Bijan. Your fifth starter for me is Derrick Henry if Lamar plays, and Ashton Gentry if Lamar does not play. And I will rule out Achane because of Quinn Ewers, even though that didn't matter last week, but we're nitpicking here. And I will say no to Evans, who is a stud and a baller, but Lamb and Nico are I think they're just like, I'll take the guys in their prime. And that's all I can say there. And then pick two between May, Hurts, and Caleb. Again, I don't think you can go wrong here. The one downside with Drake May is if the Patriots kill the Jets and he doesn't have to do all that much. Like maybe like the one issue with May this week is a lot like, what we can sometimes see in a lopsided matchup on paper when the offensive skill position guys don't have to do as much because the team in general just beats an inferior opponent. Hurts, I expect a shootout against the Bills in Buffalo. And Caleb, the 49ers just dropped 48 points on the Colts' heads, so their offense is looking great. I think May is the probably best quarterback here, but for fantasy all year long. But I think I go Hurts and Caleb because I expect their games to be competitive. I do not expect the Patriots to have a competitive game against the Jets. I know it's a division game, but the Jets stink and the Patriots don't. So, the most downside to me of these three this week is May. So I'll say Hurts and Caleb. And then as far as your defense, the Patriots, they're playing the Jets. They're playing Brady Cook. That's it. Houston got the better defense, but they are playing a good offense in the Chargers. And I think that's a home game for L.A. So the Houston's going on the road. New England is too, but they're playing a third-string quarterback who just got sacked 8 times by the Saints. New England against the Jets. Set and forget. All right. I know I took my time with that question, but hopefully it was helpful. Chris, let me know if you need anything else. Thanks again for the super. What's going on, Sport Dog? Congrats on your championship. I do think you should go to your commissioner and have them change it to week 17. Obviously, talk to the league about it. And you're the reigning champ, so your voice carries more weight than maybe in a non-championship year. Obviously, do what you want, but the default at this point in almost every league is that championship week is week 17. I genuinely believe that you should change it to that if your championship is still week 16, or if I hope your championship's not week 18. That goes for anybody. Week 18 is it shouldn't even be an option to play week 18. Week 17 should be the championship week for every fantasy league. That's just how I feel. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter for you this year, Sport Dog. You are the champ. Congratulations. Happy to hear that went your way. And happy that this channel was hopefully able to offer some help getting there. I will be taking some time off after the season. It's a long season. I didn't put as much VOD content out as I typically do. It was a busy summer and fall, but I did stay committed to the live streams. There will be some time off. I'll be weighing and considering what the structure of this channel will look like next year going into the season. And I am while I am not looking forward to the end of football season, I am looking forward to the rest. So appreciate it, and congrats again, Sport Dog. Nicely done on the win. Let's see. Would I start Taysom Hill or Jake Ferguson? And it's a point for every 5 yards rushed. I mean, as of right now, and obviously, let's see what the vibes are for the Saints going into this week. If we can get any type of inkling from Saints beat reporters or whatever from practice, if Taysom Hill is, maintaining this role that he has, I think the answer is Hill. The point for every 5 yards rushed is huge. If Hill is going to continue to get 10, 12 carries out of the backfield, then there's your answer. Ferguson's usage with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both in the lineup is pretty bad this year. So his floor is low, Ferguson's. I mean, Taysom Hill is the all-or-nothing play here, but with your league scoring 5 yards per point instead of 10 yards rushed, if we get any inkling from the beat reporters that Taysom Hill is still involved in this backfield, or maybe it's just injuries that will tell us. Obviously, if Alvin Kamara does not return to practice this week, Devin Neal is already out for the year, then I think Taysom Hill is where you go. Stafford or Lawrence, 6-point passing and a point per rushing first down. So Stafford gets the Falcons. Great matchup on Monday Night Football. I was concerned about him last week because he didn't have Devontae Adams, and all he did was throw for 450 passing yards and score like 30 fantasy points. And that was probably more. Actually, I think he scored 30 in 4-point passing touchdown scoring. So 6-point passing touchdowns, he had like 34, 35 points. So clearly he doesn't need I thought he needed Devontae Adams to keep his floor super safe. That wasn't the case. And then Lawrence is coming off of maybe even an even more impressive victory. I mean, probably actually not, but still very impressive against the Denver Broncos on the road. Great defense. That looked good doing it. Threw for multiple scores, ran for a score. He gets the Colts, who just got cooked by the 49ers. Damn. I mean, both are really good options, I think. I guess for me, the point per rushing first down lends me to lean Lawrence, because Lawrence is while he is not like, I don't think of him as a scrambler, he is way more likely to run than Stafford. I think both are good plays. I don't think you can go wrong, and I don't mean for that to be a cop-out answer, but I think either one should be fine. Lawrence, because of the point per rushing first down, would give me maybe a slight edge to him. But both are good plays. And then Corum or Michael Carter. This one's, I'm going Corum. Better. I think he's a better player, first and foremost. And he's in a better situation, better offense, better quarterback, has carved out a clear-cut role for himself. Great matchup against Atlanta. And the Rams are going to be looking for some get-back, not some revenge on the Falcons per se, but they lost a big game to the Seahawks last week. I imagine they got to come into this Monday night game, focused, locked in. They got to stay in that hunt for the NFC West for the 1 seed. I think I like that spot. Michael Carter with the starting opportunity last week floundered and ceded work to DeMercado, and there was another guy that was in there. Forgive me, I'm forgetting his name, but like Michael Carter is getting an opportunity out of necessity on a bad offense. or not a bad offense, just a bad team going nowhere. Corum has a established role that he made for himself because he's clearly a talented player on a much better offense, on a much better team. Corum over Michael Carter for sure. Let's see. Should you roll with Purdy over Herbert? I probably would. Yeah, I mean, he went nuclear last night, and he gets another favorable matchup. The Bears are a defense that force a lot of turnovers, but they're not necessarily like a shutdown unit. Herbert is a good quarterback, and he's a great quarterback, and he should be fine, but he's got a much tougher matchup against Houston. And I know Houston just got, they didn't have their best game against the Raiders of all offenses, but they're still a top unit, one of the best defenses in the league. I would expect this to be a course correct game for them, and they'll come a little bit more prepared. I think I slightly would go Purdy. I think I would go Purdy over Herbert. Better matchup. Herbert doesn't have the fortune of playing the Dallas Cowboys again this week. It's a much different opponent, much more challenging one. So, yeah, I'll say Purdy over Herbert. And then start Chris Rodriguez or Michael Carter. Rodriguez gets the Cowboys, who could be without Quinnen Williams once again. Carter, he's just getting an opportunity because they just need a live body back there to soak up work so that they can limp and finish to the end of this season. Arizona gets the Bengals this week. That is a great matchup. They both are in good matchups. But if the Bengals have the lead in that game, Carter will come off the field. I'll take Rodriguez. And then Ferguson or Loveland. Honestly, I know Loveland didn't have a great game last week, but I think I might go back to Loveland. It's a decent matchup against San Francisco. Ferguson's got a good matchup too. When CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are healthy and active, Jake Ferguson doesn't really do anything. His floor is incredibly low. I think I would swing for the fences a little bit. He's a little up or down, Loveland is, but it's a good matchup. I don't think the weather will be an issue. Shouldn't be that cold in San Francisco. It doesn't get, frigidly cold there. I'll take Loveland. And then which defense is the best of the Chargers, the Giants, and the Rams? I like the Rams this week. I like the Rams against the Falcons. I like the Rams against Kirk Cousins. The Falcons' offense has looked decent the past couple of weeks, but that's because they played Tampa Bay, who doesn't have a great defense, and for whatever reason, Kirk Cousins historically seems to have their number. And then they just played Arizona this past week, who their defense is awful. Now they get the Rams, who've got a significant pass rush. Kirk Cousins is a statue back there. Drake London's probably playing less than 100%. Yes, they have to deal with Bijan, but the Rams are a better team than the Atlanta Falcons. Even on the road, I would expect the Rams to go in there and win that game. And if they're playing with a lead, that's the situation you want your defense to be in. Having a lead, protecting a lead, being able to tee off on obvious passing downs and, create additional pressure, additional pass rush, and increase the likelihood that you're forcing the offense into mistakes, sacks and turnovers. The Chargers, they should be fine, but Houston's got a better offense. I think they've got a better offense. They certainly have better quarterback play, maybe only marginally, but and Houston's playing for something. And then the Giants, I mean, yeah, the Raiders stink, but so do the Giants. The Rams for me from that group. Let's see. Michael Carter, Kenneth Walker, or Blake Corum. So, I mean, here I would probably say Walker. After what he did as the starter, and with the amount of time, with the volume that Seattle wants to run the ball, I think I would go Walker here. Carter's in a good matchup, but he's kind of blah. I do like Blake Corum. But I think Kenneth Walker. What was the usage breakdown from Thursday night? Because I know obviously Charbonnet has consistent usage. Kenneth Walker against the Rams received 44% of the snaps. Like, he was the RB7 on 44% of the snaps. Why do they rotate their backs as much as they do? What was Corum's snap share? Do not tell me Blake Corum had more snaps than Kenneth Walker. He did not. He had 29% of the snaps. That was actually his lowest number in like 2 months or 6 weeks. Oh boy, okay. I still like Blake Corum this week. I do. I'll say Walker. I know his usage is frustrating and Charbonnet's involvement is annoying, but I think he's your highest upside play here. He's probably going to get more opportunities he's going to get more snaps than a Blake Corum, and he's certainly going to get more snaps than a Michael Carter. I think you just got to roll with the upside and hope for the best. Hey, Kevin, what's going on, my friend? 5 finals. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I'm in 3 myself and 2 third-place games. To be fair, both of those matchups I had to play Puka. So, one of them I had to go against Puka. Bijan is a dynasty team. Couple other really good, like Pickens. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of really good performances. I had some good performances, too. I dropped 150. But it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. But that's okay. It's a young team on the up and up, so I feel all right about it long term. So I'll take 3 finals. I'll take 3, but 5, hell yeah. Well done this year. Big accomplishment. Pollard or Rico this week? Yeah, but Rico makes me nervous now, man. I was confident in him like last month, like 4 weeks ago, and now I kind of feel like I want to do almost anything to get him out of my lineup, not into my lineup. Pollard, I mean, the Titans have turned the corner. I'll be honest, so have the Saints defense, Tennessee's opponent this week, but it is a home game for Tennessee. So I do like that a little bit better. And Rico gets Seattle. That's not a good matchup. I can't believe after everything we've seen this year, it's week 17 championship week, and I think I prefer Pollard. The Titans handled their business against the Chiefs last week. I think he got involved. Yeah, he had 10 half PPR points. He had 21 carries and 102 yards. I mean, yeah, 10 points is 10 points. And now they get the Saints. They have been better of late, but it is still a home game for Tennessee. It's a home game for Rico as well, but it's a much more difficult opponent, and Rico has not been doing anything recently. Pollard, and then Jawan or Waller. I mean, I'll take the guy. I'll take the guy who it's a consolidated target share in New Orleans with Olave and Jawan, and that's pretty much it. He had 8 for 89 this past week. Not the best spot on the road against Tennessee. And obviously, tight end usage is difficult to trust. but it's just like Tyler Shuck or Quinn Ewers. And Tyler Shuck has had more experience, shown more, proven more. Ewers has only played one game, but he's a 7th round rookie making he made his first career start last week. He's making his second career start this week. I mean, versus Shuck, who is a 2nd round pick and now has like a handful of games under his belt and is playing well doing it, like playing well in those games. Like, I think I go Jawan. Waller was shaping up to be a great option for the fantasy playoffs, but Quinn Ewers submarined him last week in the best possible matchup against the Bengals. It's hard to trust him now. I'll take Jawan. He's got much more reliable quarterback play right now. What's going on, Crumply Heads? Good to see you. 2 championships. I love to see it. I love to see all of these people in the finals. That hopefully this channel was helpful in some way, shape, or form, but y'all made that happen. I'm in 3 finals myself, 3 out of 5, 2 third-place games. I'll take it. I feel good about the season that I had this year. But obviously it's not done yet, trying to cap it off with some hardware. We all are. All right, where am I at? I know where I'm at. I got it. How do we feel about Diggs this week? I liked Diggs this past week, and I said as much on my Saturday stream. I thought to myself, like, I looked at the previous matchups. I don't know if anybody caught this. I have the receipts. I know I do. But I was like, the past few Patriots games going into this game, they haven't really needed Diggs for one reason or another. There were different variables where it was very clear Diggs didn't really need to be a big part of the game plan. I felt good about his opportunity and his chances this past week because it was a primetime game in a good matchup by the numbers where wide receivers have done well against the Baltimore Ravens this year. With Lamar on Sunday night, I figured it'd be a shootout. Patriots need to be aggressive on offense on the road. I liked Diggs this past week, and he came through. Potentially different narrative this time around with a much easier opponent, by at least on paper, for New England. That being said, the Jets are getting absolutely cooked by opposing wide receivers. I think Diggs maintains solid, safe wide receiver 3 appeal this week, with some downside in the event that the Patriots kill the Jets early and they're just not throwing the ball in the second half of the game because they don't have to. I think there is enough opportunity here for Diggs to get his volume because that's how good the matchup is. But yeah, there obviously is some downside if the Patriots get up big early against the Jets and then are just killing clock with their running game and ball control offense. That Diggs doesn't necessarily need to be a part of. They'll use the big body receivers and the tight ends to accomplish that. I think he's a wide receiver 3. I think he is perfectly fine being able to deliver because the matchup is so excellent. But obviously, yes, there is some risk given the lopsided matchup on paper. And then start Houston or the Steelers. Houston gets the Chargers on the road. Pittsburgh, are they playing? They're playing Cleveland on the road? I think that's right. They're getting Cleveland on the road? Yeah. I mean, no Quinshon Judkins. I mean, Houston's the better defense, but Herbert is the better quarterback. Pittsburgh, with a chance, can the Steelers win the division this week? They would with a win. I'm sure they at worst they put a vice grip on it. I don't know that Baltimore can mathematically come back and win the division, or if I guess they can. I don't think the Steelers have clinched it yet, but I don't know. I don't know if Baltimore what the stakes are, but Pittsburgh at best or at worst can pretty much put the AFC North in a chokehold with a win. Against Shador Sanders, a banged up bad Browns offensive line right now, and no Quinshon Judkins. Yeah, the Chargers also have a bad offensive line, but Justin Herbert is a much better quarterback than Shador Sanders. I think I would go. I think I would go with the Steelers. Yeah, I think I would go with Pittsburgh. Houston's got a great defense, but Herbert is good. Herbert is good. Give me a defense playing a rookie quarterback behind also a bad offensive line, and on top of that, they don't have their starting running back. Actually, they don't have their backup. Dylan Sampson is also hurt. Like, it could be Raheem Sanders and an undrafted free agent leading the backfield this week for Cleveland. Give me Pittsburgh. Let's see. No tight end premium between Gadsden, Jawan, Theo, Barner, Hawk, Schultz, or any of the Bills tight ends. What did Gadsden do this past week against the Chargers? I feel like he was quiet, but maybe I'm misremembering. I didn't have to go, I didn't have or go against Gadsden anywhere, so I actually don't know what he did. I know the Chargers had a day on offense. Oh man, 1.2. He didn't do anything in a beautiful matchup. One catch for 7 yards now against Houston, not Gadsden. Theo against the Raiders, okay. Barner went nuts against the Rams on Thursday night because of course he did. I don't know that I want to go back to that well. Hawkinson, no, with Brosmer. Schultz could be fine. Schultz could be okay. Yeah, that's probably where I would go. Schultz has been, since week 7, Dalton Schultz has been a tight end 1 5 times in 10 weeks. That's pretty good. Half the time he's a tight end 1. And the other 2 times, actually, no, he's been a tight end 1 6 times in the past 10 games. Tight end 11 this past week, tight end 7 the week before. It's not a great matchup by the numbers, but Schultz is clearly a part of their game plan. 10 targets, 3 targets, 8, 11, 9, 4, 8, 4, 9, 5. So it's there's a little bit of volatility there. And I don't trust the Bills tight ends. Somebody could do well, but good luck guessing which one. It's either Jawan or Schultz for me. And I think Jawan is getting a little bit more target share than Schultz. Nine, yeah, so 7, 8, 4, 4, 7, 9, 4, 4, 9. Okay, it's about the same. It's between Jawan or Schultz. Between one of those two. So maybe I'll take Schultz just because Houston's playing for something. They're playing for, they're playing to stay in the they're playing to stay in the playoff hunt. So I guess maybe I'll slightly lean Schultz there, but it would be between one of those two, Schultz or Jawan. And then 4-point passing, Baker, Lawrence, Purdy, Dart. Man, it's probably between Purdy or Lawrence. Purdy's at home against the Bears, and the 49ers are gunning for the 1 seed. The Jaguars are also gunning for the 1 seed. They have to play a division game against the Colts, but that doesn't look so scary. It's between Purdy or Lawrence. Maybe I slightly lean Purdy at home. But either one would be fine. Baker, I don't trust right now. The Bucks feel dysfunctional. And Dart, Dart should be fine against Vegas, but man, he was putrid this past week against the Vikings. I don't know that there was this past week felt like enough of a performance from Jackson Dart where it's like, I'll see you next year, kid. I don't trust you for this final week. And maybe that's too knee-jerk because it's such a good matchup against the Raiders, but it's not like the Giants have a good team. It's not like they've got anything, it's not like they have solid pieces, enough solid pieces around him right now. Andrew Thomas also got hurt. They're starting left tackle. I don't know what his availability is for this game. So I feel like it's like, okay, let's try again with Jackson Dart, who looked great, flashed some brilliance this year, but let's try again with Jackson Dart in year 2 in 2026. It's between Purdy and Lawrence for me, and honestly, I think both of them are perfectly fine plays. Maybe a slight nod to Purdy because he's at home, but I think either one is perfectly viable. And then flex, McLaurin or Henderson if he's healthy. I'm assuming Travion Henderson's not playing this week. It would be great for that to be wrong, but he's in concussion protocol. They're playing the Jets. The Jets stink. Disrespectfully, honestly. The Patriots don't need Travion Henderson to beat the New York Jets, and I'm sure they have already had that discussion somewhere in a war room at some point about this game. They don't need Henderson to beat the Jets. They will take their time with him. They will make sure he is healthy. They will make sure he is good to go for their playoff run. I am operating as if Henderson has already been ruled out. So McLaurin is the play here of these names. I would almost like at this point, I don't want Henderson to be cleared because if he's cleared, I would still be worried about his role. So I think I'm moving off of Travion Henderson, even if he's active. That being said, I assume he won't be. Let's see. Set the lineup. That's okay. It's the finals. Okay. If Kittle plays, he's your tight end. If not, Fannin. Cool. Straightforward. Easy. 2 backs, 2 receivers, and a flex in full PPR. So your 2 running backs, Genty has to be in against the Giants, especially after what he did against Houston. I kind of just want to play your running backs and take the guaranteed volume. Kyren against the Seahawks this past Thursday. 23 carries, 70 yards. Not very good efficiency-wise, but he did have 6 targets. That's pretty cool. Much better matchup against Atlanta. And then Harvey against Jacksonville did quite well. He's on the road against Kansas City on Christmas night, but that's not the same Kansas City defense that has been tough all year long. They're limping to the finish line. I think I play those 3 running backs, Kyren, Genty, Harvey. You put Genty and Harvey. You put Harvey and Genty in your running back spots. Put Kyren in your flex because he plays Monday night. So maximize your flex until the final moment. And then your wide receivers, Terry against the Cowboys. And, I mean, you could go Sutton against the Chiefs if you don't want to double up on Broncos. I would be fine if you go Jawan Jennings. I wouldn't play Ladd against Houston. I think I would shy away from that given your other options. I would play McLaurin for sure against Dallas. And then I guess I would lean Sutton. He's closer to his team's wide receiver 1 or option 1 than Jawan Jennings is. But if you yourself are worried about doubling up on Broncos, then you can pivot to Jawan Jennings. That's fine. But definitely McLaurin and definitely those 3 running backs. Let's see. Start Rice, Thomas, Watson, Pierce. Let's go ahead and assume Rashee Rice is out. I am assuming he's not going to play. He's still in concussion protocol, and the Chiefs are playing on a short week, and they are dead. They have nothing to play for. They are out of the playoffs. Their season ends, 2 Sundays from now. He's not going to play. Brian Thomas, what did he do against Denver? I saw him catch a few passes, but I don't know what type of day he had. It was Parker Washington. in general. Brian Thomas, 2.8 points. Yeah, he's not on the radar. The matchup against Indy is solid, but I just don't trust him. Watson would be viable if Jordan Love plays. I don't know if he's viable with Malik Willis, but it is a good matchup if he's healthy. Or Pierce coming off a 2-touchdown game against the Colts, and it's still a good matchup against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense is a lot better than they were to start the year, but their secondary is still beatable. I might plan to play Pierce here at home. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns in all likelihood, but clearly, Rivers was looking for him this past week. They're at home once again. They're going to try to stay in the playoff race, spoil Jacksonville's run at the 1 seed. I'll take Pierce at home. Caleb Williams or Sam Darnold? Darnold against Carolina, Caleb against San Francisco. Both on the road. That's tough. I think Caleb has the better matchup on defense. San Francisco has lost all of their pass rushers to injury. Bosa's out. Warner's out. Their rookie first-round pick, Williams, is out. I think I slightly lean Caleb. I know Darnold's coming off a massive performance on Thursday night. Now he's got to go on the road. Caleb does as well, but it's a softer matchup on paper because San Francisco's pass rush is all injured. They're all hurt. So I think I slightly lean Caleb. Both should be pretty viable, though. Glad to see everybody in the championship. Well done. However it happened. I had one, I forgot, I didn't even share this yet. I had a comfort, I finished off a comeback last night when the Niners picked off Phillip Rivers and took it to the house. I was down, I think I was losing by 4. And I thought to myself at that point, this is probably going to come up short. I'm probably going to fall short. And I started the Niners defense against Phillip Rivers. I was like, I like that matchup for them. And lo and behold, the pick 6 happened late in the game. Indy didn't score again, and I won by 4 points off of that. So that vaulted me into my 3rd championship game. I knew I had 2 locked in. I thought I was playing for 3rd place in this other. I was super disappointed. I was like, man, I'm going to lose this semifinal matchup. And then, oh, baby, Niners defense pick 6 set me up for the win. In the closing minutes of the game, that was awesome. That was awesome. So, however it happened, hey, we make no apologies. Kudos to everybody who's playing in their final. If Jacobs plays, would I bench? If Jacobs plays, would I bench for Tracy or Emmanuel Wilson? I can't bench Josh Jacobs. I know that this past game happened, and as it turns out, Josh Jacobs would have been better served on your bench. If Josh Jacobs does not have an injury designation, he's in my lineup. Now, if he is out, sure, you could play Emmanuel Wilson over Tyrone Tracy. That's fine. Both are in good matchups. I guess I would take the Packers offense, even as banged up as they are, over the Giants offense right now. Not that the Raiders pose any type of threat. In fact, the Raiders are an excellent matchup on paper for opposing backs. So Tracy's in a good spot, but I guess I'll take the player, in theory, on the team that's playing for something, and that's Green Bay. So if Jacobs is out, okay, fine. I'll play Wilson over Tracy. And while it's not as good of a matchup for Wilson, the Ravens might be cooked. I know they're not mathematically eliminated yet, but losing at home and now they may not have Lamar, yeah, I'll take Wilson. If Jacobs is out. If Jacobs plays, I'm playing Jacobs. And then bench one between Sutton, Wan'Dale, Tracy. I want to keep going back to Wan'Dale. I think the Giants will. I don't super trust Jackson Dart, but this matchup is good enough where I think I'm fine going back to the well to Wan'Dale. And I would probably, in full PPR, just play both wide receivers. I'll play Sutton as well. I know he's on a short week on Christmas playing Kansas City, but that's not as scary a matchup on paper as it looks. Because the Chiefs are dead. They're done. They're not playing for anything. And they just got waxed by the Tennessee Titans. They may come home and play a tough game against a division opponent and go down with some pride, but that only takes you so far. They're not playing for anything. I'll take Sutton, and I'll take Wan'Dale in full PPR. I do like Tracy. I do like his matchup, but I think I'll take those wide receivers instead. And then Herbert or Jacoby, I mean, Jacoby was once again a QB1 this past week. Was he not? Or did I miss something? I know Trey McBride didn't have a big game. Oh, Brissett kind of dudded. Oof, yeah, not great. In a good matchup, too. But he against the Cincinnati Bengals, that could absolutely be a shootout. That could absolutely be a track meet. Herbert gets the Houston Texans. Now, Herbert's the better quarterback, but it's not a good matchup. I know Herbert played well this past week, but that was against the Dallas Cowboys, who didn't have Quinnen Williams. This is a different animal against the Houston Texans. Jacoby gets the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense is terrible. I know they looked solid last week, but that was against a 7th-round rookie making his first career start. Jacoby has mostly been good this year. I think I would plan to play Jacoby Brissett. Okay, we are at the end of the chat. I know there's not going to be as many folks that pop in these days because, well, not everybody makes the final. So if your season is over, you're probably not super interested in fantasy advice at this point. So I figured this stream may be on the shorter end, but still wanted to get some time with you guys championship week. First, to say congratulations to all of you who are playing for something. That is awesome. But also to give those who are playing for something an opportunity to talk shop with me before the holidays. I can continue to stick around for a little bit longer in case any other questions pop in, but just FYI, I did allude to it earlier in the stream, but for anybody who's joining late, I'm not ruling anything out, but this may be my final stream of the season. With the holidays upon us, I will be taking that time to spend with friends and family. I will try to make myself available later in the week, closer to the start, but that's why I took start sit questions today, especially with 3 games on Thursday, on Christmas Day. Not sure what that all will look like. Yeah. But it has been a fun season. Regardless, and hopefully you had fun along the way as well. And let's clinch. Let's cap it off. Let's cap it off with some championships. Um, oh boy, Andrews, Kelsey, or Theo? Not Kelsey. They're not Kelsey at all. Not Andrews. I think it has to be Theo Johnson and just hope for the best. At least he's like a young player that maybe has some upside. I mean, especially if it's Tyler Huntley for the Ravens and it's the we're down to the third string, fourth string quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, and so Kelsey's doing nothing. Andrews has been doing nothing. It has to be Theo Johnson, who I know goose egged this past week, but at least it's a little bit of a get right better. Like the Raiders are a much worse defense than the Vikings, so it's a better matchup. I think it has to be Theo. You might get a 0, but you've got way more upside with Theo Johnson right now than you do with Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews. There's no way I can put Kelce or Andrews in the starting lineup right now. I'd almost rather leave the spot blank. Like they give you nothing. They give you nothing. They give you nothing. And in Andrews' case, he doesn't give you anything when Lamar's playing. Now it might be Huntley. No thanks. Yeah, I'll take Theo. If Kittle is out, I might go Hunter Henry. Between Tungus, Henry, Barner, I might go Hunter Henry. If Travion Henderson is out, maybe there are some short and intermediate targets that are available for him to pick up. It's already a good enough matchup against the Jets, who are putrid. I'll take Henry. He's also got the most of a track record here of these names, of these options. So I'll go with the guy who has been doing it the longest in Henry. Yeah, I'll take Henry. And no, Mason Taylor and Michael Mayer make that they're not playable. Mason Taylor might not even play, right? He's still hurt. Yeah, no, it's of those names. Unfortunately, it's very clear to me. It's just I would play Theo. I would play Theo Johnson. Um, he's the only one that has upside to me. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Michael Mayer against the Giants, sure, whatever. I don't trust that. At least give me a when I'm shooting with a dart throw. At least give me a starter. You know. Mason Taylor's a starter, but Mason Taylor's hurt with a neck injury. He's probably not even going to play, right? He's not. That's not an option. That's not an option. Yeah. Okay. While I have a moment, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out this evening. Those of you who are in the finals, once again, congratulations. I saw Sport Dog and Kevin and Crumply Heads were the members that I saw today. Congrats to all of you. Sport Dog on your championship, and Kevin and Crumply Heads for your championship appearances. Hi-Fi Samurai and Chris, thank you for your supers. Very kind of you. Appreciate the support. And everybody for coming in and hanging out this evening. I will be available in Discord over the course of the week. So if you're not a part of the Discord and would like to be to answer questions or get questions answered, you can join. Second link in the description of this live stream will get you a free evergreen invite. And we'll see what the rest of this week looks like. You have Bo Nix, and you could pick up Shuck I would be fine with start. If you don't want to play dart, I totally get it. I don't want to play dart. Not after that. Bo Nix against Jacksonville had. I mean, he had a lot of passing yards, but he only had one touchdown. Just looking at Bo Nix's road performances this year, he hasn't been great on the road, and he's on the road on a short week this week against Kansas City. I think I'm fine with you picking up Shuck. Shuck's been playing well. And yeah, I mean, you have Olave, you have Jawan. I think that's perfectly fine to consolidate to a single offense that has been performing well. And any touchdown to either one of those guys, especially Olave, who has been doing very well in that department this year, I mean, then that now you double up on those points essentially. Yeah, I think I would say Shuck, Nix, Dart in that order. I mean, maybe I would say Dart over Nix just because Dart has some upside and I feel like Nix has none. But Nix has the safer floor after what we saw from Dart this past week. And I totally get if you just want to rule Dart out outright. Yeah, I would pick up and play Shuck. I would pick up and play Shuck. That's where I would go. Yep. Lean in on a full super stack and hope it works out for you. Okay. And I mean, it could be any one of those four options at flex. Pittsburgh has Cleveland. The Eagles have Buffalo. Terry McLaurin probably has the highest upside. He's playing Dallas. I mean, you're probably going to have two or three guys that pop off on your bench if you can't start all those dudes. The highest ceiling is Terry. They're playing Dallas. Dallas's defense is awful. Oh, and he doesn't have Mariota. Crap. Okay. Then in PPR, I would probably say Gainwell for the highest floor. Especially with no DK Metcalf. Gainwell might be, as a running back, he might get 12 to 15 targets from Rodgers this week. I think Gainwell is your floor play. Yeah, I guess that's where I would go. Just know that you're going to probably have two dudes who pop off on your bench, which sucks, but that's how it goes. Yeah. All right. I think that is everything. Reached the end of the chat. Again, obviously it's the holiday season, so, availability will be intermittent. But if you're not in my Discord, you can always reach me by leaving a question in the form of a comment on any recent streams or videos, and I can be sure to get to it. I will I'll be available in that form and in Discord this week. This may be my final stream of the season, given it's the holidays, but I know it's championship week, so I will still be around and available as needed. I want to thank everybody for coming in this year and hanging out, whether it was for a little while or for a long while. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves, and hopefully it was helpful in at least one way or another. So appreciate everybody for the support and hanging out this year. There will be a bit of a break after the season, how I assess and approach my plan of attack for this channel could change in the off season. We shall see. But obviously, I do intend to still put up content and make myself available for fantasy help moving forward. Appreciate you all. It's been a fun year, and hopefully it culminates with some chips. Best of luck with your matchups. Hit me in Discord. Hit me with a comment on a YouTube video, and I can answer any last-minute questions. But best of luck. Have a safe and happy holiday, however you're spending it. Hopefully it's fun. Hopefully it's safe. Hopefully it's enjoyable. I will see you guys when I see you. You know how to get a hold of me if you need me. And best of luck championship week. Thanks, everybody.